How's it going, my dudes? Welcome back to yet another Calibria Crystal Guardians video. Today we learn how to log into the game. Oh my goodness. Okay, so before I begin, if you found this video to be particularly helpful, do give it a thumbs up and do consider subscribing as well. A lot of effort and planning has been put into this video and the rest of my videos as well. And I do try my best to be ahead of the population so that you get the information you need without needing to do some trial and errors for your own. Okay, so with that shameless plug out of the way, let us look into the long-awaited and by far the most requested video, a Nat 3 tier list. Or rather, just a tier list for the Lawful Nat 3's, because this video might take quite a while. I would rather split the video into 3. So Lawful followed by Chaotic and finally Evil. So a few things to note before we begin. Number one, this is not a comparison tier list. I'm not comparing Unit A and Unit B and how they stack up. I will not be telling you who is better than what. So number two, I will only be giving the heroes a scoring system to determine how viable they are in general. And I cannot stress this enough, how viable they are in general. And number three, the video, while finalized by my own opinions, is the information that I have gathered from other players around Reddit and Discord, and even in my video comments. So take everything with a grain of salt. Okay, so the way I give points to the heroes comprises of 5 elements. Number 1, Colossus viability. Number 2, Leviathan. Number 3, Guild Wars. Number 4, Arena. And finally, number 5, if it is extremely powerful at what it does. So this is a little bit of a personal opinion and how I feel like he stacks up on his own, with his own skills. Like, does the skill really promote his potential very well or not? Okay, so for each of the elements that the hero strives in, each of the 5 elements that I mentioned earlier, I will give it 1 point. So if a unit caps off at 5 points and can be... so a unit can cap off at 5 points and he can also be as useless as 0 points. However, just because a unit has lower points does not mean that he or she is useless. It just means that they are more niche. So sit back and relax and enjoy the rest of the video. So without further ado, let's move on to the first Lawful Nat 3, Elven Archer. Okay, so good base speed at 104 with quite a fancy S2A over here that has the potential to reduce all enemies to 0 energy and has a very short cooldown of 3 turns. So maxes out at 3 turns. She also comes with a handy high output S3A with a whopping massive 740% attack with a strong chance to freeze. Very solid hero for PvP. And her S3C, while great for tanky heroes, falls short on use in PvP due to her low HP, because you're not going to build her tanky, you're going to build her more DPSy, and isn't useful for PvE, as you should be aiming to down the boss as fast as possible and not drag the fight out. So 2 out of 5. Moving on, card Envoy. RNG based hero, so he has like RNG all over this place. So no matter what you pick, it's just RNG related. With a decent S3C here for clutch PvP, so sometimes after maybe their speed lead, not speed lead, like their Windwalker, okay, they take a turn, you immediately cut in and you can do something to probably distort the enemy's lineup a little bit. Okay, so there's a bit of clutch there. He also functions as a PvP support with his S3A, but you generally don't want to rely on anything else but your own stats for crit rate to be useful in as many content as possible. So crit rate buffs are generally not that useful, okay, because you do not want your DPS to be reliant on the upkeep of a certain skill. So his leader skill may also be quite useful for PvP. It might, right? Especially if you're a Mountain King, or maybe you have a who else? Let's take a look. If you have a Mountain King, or why is this not hitting me so soon? Arcanist? I'm not too sure about Arcanist, but yeah, oh sorry, Archmage, yes, Archmage, that's the one. So if you do have a Mountain King or Archmage, probably his leader skill might be useful. 1 out of 5. Not so good at PvP. Next, we have the Shrine Assassin. So she's interesting. She has a defense break on S1, and she has a niche skill set that allows her to... that improves her effectiveness as her HP falls. So generally, this is useless on a hero without a means to self-sustain. So for her, she does have a lot of skills that like scale off like missing HP, right? Stuff like that. But she lacks an ability to keep herself alive. So she's not so good on her own, but she may work wonders if teamed well with Reviver. So she's very reliant on a very on a team that focuses on her own survivability. So you're going to build a whole team that revolves around her, which you may not want for a Nat 3. So she's also terrible at PvE as there are much better DPS options. So 0 out of 5, useless. Well, I say useless because she's not really that effective at anything. Rock Golem. Okay, so this one is a bit interesting. With a HP scaling S1 that comes with a stun and a counter on his S2, I think this is the one, yeah, that reduces incoming damage as well by 30%. You can pick either S3B or S3C, and with this skill set, like this, like this, like this, or like this, like this, like this, you can completely nullify enemy flame spirits entirely. So you don't have to worry about enemies trying to jump you with flame spirits to get a quick kill. With this hero in the field, totally prevented, completely impossible, unless your stats are not that good, right? So he's also a great option for arena offense, as well as you can specifically dominate evil heavy comps. Because take note that if you're challenging an enemy's arena defense, the evil enemies will target your lawful. Wait, is that right? No, sorry, my bad. Chaotic. You can specifically dominate chaotic heavy comps. My bad. So if you see like enemy has maybe a fallen angel, single target hits, right? Or Popo, another single target hit, very good choice to go up against them. Yep, my apologies on that. So very good for PvP. I'll give him a 2 out of 5. Moving on to Griffin. So he has a very solid 3A, where he can defense buff for 2 turns and he heals the HP of your allies as well, and it even goes up to a pretty strong heal of plus 35%, which means 35% or 20% HP, which is about 30% HP to all allies, right? However, the rest of his kit has more to be desired, because this just taunts, and then this just heals himself, and this just taunts. So there's a lot more to be desired, especially when you're in the boss fight. You don't really need all these skills, and thus he's not a very good choice for PvE in general. He's also kind of slow for support. He has 95 base speed. So then again, I mean, for supports, generally you want them to be as speedy as possible because they need to take more turns to upkeep your buffs, upkeep your heals, stuff like that. Increase your turn cycles better or whatever. So 0 out of 5, not useful at all. Oh yes, everyone's favorite Windwalker. Okay, so S2A, Gale, gives an ally an immediate turn. Okay, so if speed tuned well, you can essentially give a heavy hitter 2 attacks in a row. So for example, your heavy hitter hits first, his energy is depleted, Windwalker goes next, immediately boosts his ATB using Gale, so the heavy hitter gets to go again. So there are many ways you can play this to time it out well. You can essentially do a lot with this one single skill. Very good. And it even comes with a heal. So her S3A is also amazing in turn cycling and has very little competition in this field. In terms of turn cycling, Windwalker is probably by far the best. Elven Queen can compare in her own way, but she is just a Nat 3. This Windwalker, she's just a Nat 3. Very, very good. Also works amazingly well with Demonic Swordsman. Comes with, I believe, the highest base speed in the game, so she also has 110 base speed, which makes her a key pick for arena speed comps. So 5 out of 5, perfect for every content. Perfect for PvE, perfect for PvP. Alright, moving on. Okay, so Holy Cleric, she is just an average healer with a lot of heals. So S2 and S3A, they're all heals, but they're pretty okay. So she can be built to specifically strip buffs, like strip here, and then heal based on number of buffs stripped. But then you will lose a lot of efficiency as a healer, as your heals will be dependent on the enemy's buffs. And in Colossus, while there is one single buff, it's just one buff. So unless you're like challenging Colossus 8, where the boss actually gets 2 buffs, not that good. And I mean, why are you even like building a unit specifically for C8? You should not. So she is a valid pick for Colossus if you need a healer, but is ultimately replaceable by a druid. So 1 out of 5. Number 8, Divine Priest. Okay, so this character is a little bit odd. He's a very odd support that scales his S2B shield, alright, the shield scales of his attack. It can be useful for Leviathan with his S3A because whenever he gets a debuff like a dot, his own speed increases by 20%. Alright, so and when you have active buff on you, you increase your defense by further 20% and stuff like that. So if you can somehow bolster his defensive stats by a large margin in place of his attack focus kit, then he may be useful for Leviathan. Because you need a lot of attack to make his shield useful, which is why you want the turns in the first place. So for you to even have your shield up, you need to even survive in the first place. So you need your stats to be generally strong across the board, which is not that viable. You shouldn't be building an easy build character like that with so much stats. I mean, you have better characters to be using those stats on. So yeah, he speeds up well when your team is suffering from dots, so he's good for Leviathan in that sense, but as I said, he requires a lot of stats, so he's not very good in this role, 1 out of 5. Right, next, Dwarven Gunner. A strong Guild War hero. Okay, this is a very good Guild War hero. He has a nice 21% attack leader skill and has a 3A or 3B that can potentially snipe enemies in one go if you have the right team composition. So you probably need a succubus to attack buff and defense break all the enemies, and then you can just bam, one shot. So he is just loaded with damage dealing skills all across the board. He might not be so useful in speed running dungeons though, because his damage, I would prefer HP scaling damage for speed running dungeons because the boss has a shit ton of HP. So 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5, just good for Guild Wars, but not super cool because he needs a perfect team. Alright, so finally, 11 minutes, 12 minutes. Phantom Wolf. He's a powerful hero that gets stronger as the enemy numbers dwindle. That's because of Phantom Dance. Okay, so Phantom Dance, while RNG based, has the potential to wipe the enemy lineup completely if you're lucky. Alright, if you're really lucky, you can actually do a lot of damage. I've built him before, I understand. Okay, so he comes with a unique S3B over here that grants 10% additional speed to your entire team, which can potentially be extremely clutch in team comps in the end game. So in the end game, when everyone's speed is just like as high as they can, and you know, people are just like inching for the little bit of speed by buying pay to win skins or stuff like that, this guy comes with a 10% speed boost. Okay, 10% is a huge boost, and it just comes as a passive. You don't even need to level up, you don't even need to skill him up because his passive is the only thing that matters. And with this high speed and his ability to increase all lawful hero speed even further, he could be very, very good in specific comps. Like with him, he can further boost the speed of Windwalker here. Let's not forget that, okay? His lead skill can further boost the effectiveness of Windwalker. You can probably find some kind of combo out there that allows you to just ultimately destroy the enemy's lineup completely. Maybe with a succubus. Succubus is always a good pick. So with a succubus, you could probably, if you're lucky, snipe the entire team in one go. And that's because you always have the turn advantage with this passive over here. So I will find him really, really very potent in the end game. So Phantom Wolf, 2 out of 5. So like I said, even though he's given a poor rating of 2 out of 5, it doesn't mean he's useless. It's just he's probably very niche at his role, and he is very niche at being a PvP unit. Oh, okay. So with that said, that is the end of this video. If you have any feedback or if you have any comments to the ratings that I've given to these characters, drop them in the comments down below. I'll give them a read. And also, there will be someone or maybe a couple or more people who would disagree, and they will provide their own opinions as well. Do look at those comments and make your own judgment, because there are a lot of valid points in a lot of the things that people tell me. I really welcome feedback. Okay, so if you have something that you strongly disagree with, feel free to let me know so that everyone has a two-sided view on the whole topic. So I'll see you guys in the next video where I talk more about chaotic types. So there we are. I'll talk a little bit more about them, probably a little bit more interesting than lawful, but we'll see. Alright, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys as always in the next one.